Pressure group Citizen Ghana Movement is set to launch a campaign dubbed Fly the Flag in Accra. The campaign is to whip up the sense of nationalism in citizens and encourage Ghanaians to place the national interest above political and tribal interests. The Fly the Flag campaign is being launched at Manchagbona here in Accra, and we shall get you the very latest from the ground in a bit. In the meantime, let's take a look at some business stories. New transport fares announced by the Ghana Private Road Transport Union and Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council took effect yesterday. Joy News' Ivy Jane visited some lorry stations and came through with the following report.
The 15% increment in transport fares has taken effect today, following the increase in fuel prices last week. I'm at the lorry station here at the Obra Spot to get the reaction of passengers, drivers and their mates.
There's no agreement about the fare. We already knew, so we have accepted it. I was coming from Kaswa. Before it was 2 cedi 40 pesos, but now it's 2 cedis 80 pesos. They've added 40 pesos to it.
So how is it going to affect you?
Oh, it doesn't affect anybody. It doesn't affect me in any way.
It affects me greatly, because it is even difficult to find job in this country, and then now the prices, the fare prices are going high and all that. So I mean, it's very, very, very devastating, but we just have to take it like that.
Vice Chairman of the Circle Obra Sports GPRTU, Jacob Ni Ashi, confirmed increment and said the union has taken steps to prevent confrontations between passengers, drivers and drivers' mates.
And we got a letter on Friday that we should effectively increase fares by 15% from today, which I think, as I said earlier on, because of the earlier sensitization of the passengers, we don't have problems at all. Unlike last year when the increment came, we had so many problems with the passengers. When they board the vehicle and you tell them there is an increment, this will baloo about will not agree. Either, if they don't understand, we drop the passengers.
The usual scuffle between passengers and drivers' mates anytime there is increment in transport fares hasn't been matched today, according to this driver's mate.
There used to be a misunderstanding between us and the passengers, but it has stopped since the price list was printed out and distributed for us to keep in our cars.
However, this driver disagrees.
The price list doesn't come with the various destinations, so it is causing arguments, and this is bothering us.
The increment comes on the back of a mid-year review of fares by the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, and commuters say they have no option but to pay. Ivy Jemfi reporting for Joy News.
The destination inspection companies have confirmed officially by responding positively to the Trade Ministry's request for them to contribute a total of $35 million for the repayment of a judgment debt in return for contracts. The companies have also confirmed their readiness to make the payment once government spells out the terms of agreement.
Yes, Webfontein did receive the letter from the Minister, signed by the Minister of Trade and Industry, which was dated the 3rd of June, and we responded on the 8th of June in a positive manner, i.e. being able to commit to the 35 million that was being asked for. Since that time, obviously we received another letter on the 15th of June telling us that their DI contract would not be renewed, and since that time we've just been waiting.
We also received a letter from the Ministry of Trade in respect of advancing government 35 million to pay up a debt owed to Bank Switch.
$35 million?
Yeah. So we responded also in a positive manner that we could raise the funds to pay off the debt. But in all of this, I'm always curious that anybody is not asking the question, where did the debt come from? In my estimation, Ministry of Trade was just looking for a solution for a problem that has been created.
Also received a letter in a similar vein, and we have expressed interest. Yeah, we are ready. Yeah. No, as soon as they express, they tell us the terms of what we are going to do and when they need it and when they are ready to give us the contract.
We've received the letter and we responded positively towards the letter that we are prepared to advance that cash to government. But of course, we need to know the scope of what we are supposed to do and even negotiate certain terms within the contract.
Meanwhile, the destination inspection companies have, however, refuted allegations that agreeing to support government to defray the judgment debt for future contracts will amount to bribery. Walter Onyango is the secretary to the Joint Consultative Committee of the Destination Inspection Scheme Companies.
What we see beyond reading into anything, because as again, the scope of the arrangement has not been defined. What we have done is not provided a commitment, if you're listening. What we have done is to express interest, and that's a very big difference between the two. So when the scope becomes clear, I do believe that all the individual members of the Committee of Destination Inspection Companies would look at it and see whether it is even worth farming up the expression of interest with the commitment. So I think it is a little bit premature right now to attempt to color, what we think is a very candid openness shown by government and assign tags to them.
The subject, former Minister of State at the Finance Ministry says Trade Minister Dr. Ekospio Gabra has broken the procurement law by promising contracts to destination inspection companies if they help raise $35 million each to defray the judgment debt. Reacting to the justification by the Trades Minister, Dr. Akotose stated it is the responsibility of the Finance Minister, not a Trade Minister, to go around looking for money to fulfill a government obligation.
He is not aware. And is he aware that it is not Professor Mills that authorized Bebaku Mensah to write that the contract should be given to a different company? Is he aware of that? He should go and look at the history of bank switch properly. Is he aware that even the day before he died, Professor Mills was worried about this issue? Is he aware of that? Is he aware that cabinet ministers got involved in serious verbal altercations because of this bank switch issue? Go ask Honorable Hanutate and Fifi Kwete for what happened at the cabinet meeting. You can also talk to Dr. Kwabena Dufour, who received a letter that he had not even responded to and the contract was given. Is Stuart Gabriel aware of all these details? Please, he's my senior. He shouldn't talk like a Team C player. I beg him.
He writes in his official press statement that he's saving the country from the evil plot by some businessmen and politicians to rape the country's treasury.
Tell him he's being cheap for a team A player. That's cheap politics. And he should be careful because he's breaking laws. Tell him he should be careful what he speaks about. If he wants to do politics with something that has caused somebody's death, he should be very careful.
What, did this cause somebody's death?
Go and ask them. What was the good Professor Mills worried about the day before he died? Go and ask them.
That Professor Mills died because of his worry about this?
Yes, go and ask them. Go and ask Martin Newman, the chief of staff, the people who knew about this issue. Go and ask them. If they want the body of Professor Mills to come back, they should go ahead and talk cheap politics.
Away from that, the Agricultural Development Bank has suspended the launch of its initial public offer. The offer has been a bone of contention for the Union of Industry, Commerce and Finance Workers, who have accused management of the bank of shrouding the process in secrecy. UNICOF therefore demanded broader consultation before listing on the stock exchange. The launch, which should have taken place today, was called off after deliberations between stakeholders. A number of reasons have been given for the move, as contained in a circular to members of the Professional and Managerial Staff Union and the local union of ADB. Francis Urban has been going through the statement and will now share the details with us. Francis, what reasons were given for the suspension?
Well, the suspension as containing a circular that has been distributed for members of the progressive professional managerial staff union is that, and just to read the details for you, it says that 1, the proposed IPO launch, which was slated for June 23, 2015, which is today, with a program lineup featuring all the major actors in the financial sector, has been called off at the last hour. Now, the interesting part about this statement is that it says it was called off at the last hour by management at a meeting with the Labour Minister and the TUC, and several circumstances, namely the rates issued at the Supreme Court by Dr. Sibeya, the Member of Parliament, and the union's request to scrutinize the prospectus has compelled management to, and see the word it chooses there, reluctantly rescind their decision to do a fire launch of the IPO.
No, you can understand, because all was set, and even in yesterday's daily guide, at the back, there was an announcement.
Of course.
Not only of the launch, but how much you could actually purchase a share, 265, thereabouts.
Yes. Now, the second point they make is that the renewal of the managing director's contract, as is being circulated, the MD was asked this question in this crunch meeting yesterday morning between UNICOF and management, and his unfortunate, his unfortunate response was that we should seek clarity from higher authorities.
Then it raises the question who the higher authorities are. Was it the board? Is it the presidency?
Is it the Labour Ministry?
Is it the Labour Ministry? A lot of questions from there as well.
Indeed. Now, they're saying that they will demand an answer from these higher authorities that they are, indicating soon, but they want to assure the members of their union that by doing the rounds issued, it was on a false premise, it should be disregarded, and that they will get clarity on it. And they realize that all these have caused a certain uncertainty in the system. So for members who were on this action with them, solidarity, trying to get things changed at ADB, they're saying, yes, this might have, shaken a number of you thinking that things are not going the way we had planned, but they are making their moves to meet these higher authorities and get closure on the matter.
Well, do we know when this will come aboard again?
Well, we do not know for sure when this will happen. It's early days, really.
Thank you very much, Francis. Francis joined us with details from a circular to the PMSU and local union of ADB on the suspension of the initial public offer, or the launch of the initial public offer, which should have taken place today. That's all.